Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is V. Dinesh Babu, and I'm assistant professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering in Chevrolet Engineering College. And this is the second session on AWT or swings. So in the previous session, we already discussed about the introduction regarding the AWT or swings. And in this session, I'm going to cover about some of the programs which are related to abstract window toolkit or swings. So before going to the to this session, I'm going to recall the previous session, what we have discussed in the previous session, and I'm going to highlight some of the points in the previous session. So in the previous session, we have discussed regarding the AWT introduction and swings introduction, and the layout manager classes in AWT and swings. So let us have a brief look at all these PowerPoint presentation, all these slides of the previous session. So in the previous session, what we have discussed in the sense, we have discussed about the full form of AWT is abstract window toolkit, and it is a package in Java programming language by which we are going to create some graphical user interface components. And these following are some of the graphical user interface components. Examples are button labels, text fields, scroll bars, radio buttons, tick boxes, list boxes, choice boxes, scroll bars, etc. And one more thing is, these AWT components are called as heavyweight components because these AWT components are not generated directly. What is the reason behind calling these components as heavyweight components in the sense? When we want to create a button in AWT component, in AWT package, this is the example what I have taken in the previous session. When we want to create a button in Java by using AWT package, we have to create an object for button class, and this button class will interact with the system files. And this in this system, there are multiple number of files. Some of the files are used to create buttons, some of the files are used to create some other component, and some of the files are used to do some other work. So the button creation in AWT will interact with the system files of button creation, and it will create a button. So my question here is Java virtual machine, which is going to execute all the Java programs. So while we are dealing with JVM only understands bytecode. It does not understand any other language or any other machine dependent language or any other higher language. It only understands the bytecode. If JVM understands only the bytecode, then how it is going to interact with the system files of button creation, or the system files of checkbox creation, or the system files of radio buttons, or etc. It is my question. And the solution for this one is peer files. There are one more files in the system. The name of the files are called as peer files. These peer files will help JVM in order to help understand these system files. So these peer files will convert the system files into bytecode, and then JVM will execute this bytecode, and then it will create a button or a checkbox or a radio button or a scroll bar, etc. So now by using AWT, it clearly shows particular button creation will depending upon system files of button creation. Similarly, when we want to create a frame, it will depend upon system files of frame creation. And we want to create some other component or a container, it will definitely depend upon the system files of creating a component and container. Now, how can we say that Java is a machine independent programming language? So we all studied that in the introduction of Java programming language. There are some buzzwords. Among those buzzwords, Java is a machine independent programming language. What we know about machine independency? If a Java program is executed on any type of machine in and around the globe or the world, it gives the same output. It never depends upon the computer system. It never depends upon the laptop, or it never depends upon the mobile phone. It gives a same output as it is executed in any number of systems. That is the machine independency feature of Java. But now, while we are using AWT, this AWT button creation is depending upon the system files of computer. How can we say that Java is a machine independent language? Yes, Java is a machine independent programming language, but by using AWT, that is abstract window toolkit package, we are violating the machine independency feature of Java. We are violating. Now, how can we preserve this machine independency at the same time? How can we create graphical user interface components in Java? So the solution to preserve machine independency feature of Java while developing GUI components is there is one more package in Java programming language is called Sphinx. So by using Sphinx, we can preserve machine independency feature of Java at the same time. We can also able to create graphical user interface components in Java programming language. So Sphinx is one of the packages similar to AWT. But while using the AWT components, we are completely depending upon the system files of the programming, system files of a particular machine. But Sphinx package contains multiple number of classes where each and every class contains the creation of different components and containers. So there is no need to depend upon the machine in order to create certain components and containers. So that is why Sphinx is a machine. Sphinx is completely independent of the machine. So these Sphinx are called as lightweight components. Their ability is a heavyweight components because it is depending on the system files. It is going to involve the peer files. So these peer files is helping the system files to be converted into bytecode. But Sphinx are called as lightweight components because Sphinx itself contains the code of the creation code of buttons, the creation code of scroll bars, the creation code of a frame or a panel or a pane or something like radio buttons, stick boxes, etc. Right? Similar to the AWT, this package is also used to develop graphical user interface components. So if we want to create a button by using Sphinx, we have to create an object for JButton class. So this JButton class itself involves the creation of button. This JButton class contains the way of creating a button. So it will create a button directly. It does not interact with the system. It does not interact with the peer files or etc. So that is why these Sphinx are called as lightweight components, right? And then layouts. What this layout deals with is the arrangement of components on a container. So the arrangement of components on a container is taken care by using layout. So both this AWT package contains some layout classes and this Sphinx package contains some layout classes. These classes are called as layout manager classes. Okay, so the placing the components at a particular position within a container is taken care by using layout. The task of placing the components is taken care by layout manager classes. Okay, so what are the different types of layouts under abstract window toolkit? So these are the following are the different types of layouts under abstract window toolkit. There are 5 types of layouts. So the layout manager classes under AWT are border layout, card layout, grid layout, grid flag layout, and flow layout. These are the 5 types of layouts under AWT package. Other than these 5 layouts, we have one more layout called as null layout, which cannot be called as a layout manager class. But by using null layout also, we can arrange the components on a container by using a set bounds method, which will take 4 parameters as we explained in the previous class. Coming to the layout classes in Sphinx, we have 4 layout classes in Sphinx. Those 4 layout classes are box layout, group layout, scroll pane layout, and string layout. These are the 4 classes which are under Sphinx package. And then coming to the border layout, the entire screen is divided into 5 parts. Top of the screen is north, the bottom of the screen is south, the right of the screen is east, and left of the screen is west, and the center of the screen is west. We can add any component at any particular position by using the following syntax. If you want to add a particular component at the north of the screen, we have to call f.v1.border layout.north. If you want to add something in the right, on the center of the screen, we have to use the syntax as f.add of b5.border layout.center. Where b5 is a button object and f is a frame. F frame is a container and b5 is a component. And then coming to the card layout, in card layout, the components are arranged on the z-axis, one after another. So at a particular point of time, only one component can be viewed. If you want to view the next component, we have to click on the component and that component will be highlighted. and the remaining components will be beside the component. And grid layout, if you want to divide the entire screen into multiple number of rectangular grids, we have to use the grid layout. So in grid layout, we can divide the screen into any number of grids. For example, if you want to divide the entire screen into 9 parts, we have to use the grid layout of 3,3. So it will divide the entire screen into 3 rows and 3 columns. If you want to divide the entire screen into 100 parts, we have to call the grid layout of 10,10. So it will divide the entire screen into 10 rows and 10 columns, so that we can add 100 components in that particular container. If we add one component, that first component will be overlapped. That is already discussed in the previous session. So grid bag layout, it is next layout in AWT layout manager classes. In grid bag layout, it is similar to grid layout, but we can increase or decrease the size of the components within that particular grid. And last one is flow layout. In this flow layout, it is a default layout of outlet or panel. In this flow layout, a component will be added to the top left corner of the screen. If the next component added to that particular container will be placed and beside that component, if it is fit in that component, or else it will be placed at the next line. Depending upon the size of the output screen and depending upon the size of the container or the component, these components get arranged automatically. That is the benefit of flow layout. We can add any number of components in flow layout that will be added automatically to the container or the container. And these are the topics what we have discussed in the previous session. And now in this session, we are going to discuss about some of the example programs regarding abstract window toolkit or some swings. So here we are going to deal with the programs related to AWT package and swings package. So let us have a close look at some of the programs of AWT. So now let us create a simple program which will create a label and some text box and some buttons in Java. So okay, now we are going to discuss about how to write a simple Java program by using AWT package. Now let us quickly move to the one second. This is the example program, right? This is the example program which is used to create some labels, text files, and then buttons by using AWT package. So let us have a brief look at this thing. So if we are dealing with abstract window toolkit, we need to import a package called as awt.star. So import space java.awt.star. This particular statement will import all the classes which are inside the AWT package in our program. We all know that star will include all the classes of the particular package. So after writing this statement, define a class, take the name of the class as you wish. For example, my class name is P1. And inside the class, just define inside the class, define one, and inside the class, write the main method of Java programming language, public static void main, and string GS. And inside that particular main method, try to create the different components and containers what we want on output screen. For example, I want to create a Gmail login page. So a Gmail login page contains, let us assume a Gmail login, apart from the original view, let us assume a Gmail login page contains a Gmail heading followed by username and some space in order to enter that username, followed by password, and a space in order to enter that password. And in the bottom, we have login and clear buttons. So in Gmail login page, we have three labels. First one is Gmail, username, password, and one text field and one password field. The first password field is used to enter your mail ID, and the second field, that is the password field, is used to enter your password. And in order to carry that data into to the server, we have one login button. And in order to clear all the data what we entered, we have one clear button. So let us create one Gmail login page. So normally in Java programming language, when we want to display something on the output screen, we generally use the method println, which is a method of system class. So if we want to print something on the output screen, we use system.out.println, where println is a method, out is an object, and system is a class. That particular statement will print something on the output screen. But while we are dealing with the abstract window toolkit, if we want to print something on the output screen, we have to create an object for label class. So label is one of the class under AWT abstract window toolkit package, which is used to display something on the output screen. There is no other use of this label class. It is only used to display something on the output screen. So for example, if, as all we know that in Java programming language, by convention, it is not a rule. Keep that in mind. By convention, class name starts with capital letter. So label space some L1. My object name is L1 equal to new label, and my heading is Gmail. Label space L1 equal to new label of Gmail. So that Gmail will be displayed on the output screen. There is nothing to do with that particular Gmail. It only displays some information on the output screen. So after the Gmail, we want to display some username, and we want to display some text called as password. So create two more objects for the same label class. Label space L2 equal to new label of, here I want to display username, and we want to display one more text as password. L3 equal to new label of password. So after that, beside username, I want to create some space for user in order to enter their particular email. So the space will be created by creating an object for text field class, which is under AWT component. So text field space T1 equal to new text field of mail. So we want to ask the user to enter mail ID, and then we have to give the user some space in order to enter his password. So text field space T2 equal to new text field of password. So these are the three labels and two text fields. These are the three labels and two text fields. And along with these labels and text fields, I want to create buttons, button space. So in order to create buttons in AWT package, we have to create an object for button class. So this is the statement which is used to create an object for button class. So button space v1 equal to new button of login. So login will be placed on the button. And one more thing, and I want to create one more button space v2 equal to new button of some clear, new button of clear. So these are the components what I want on the output screen. So keep one thing in mind, that while we are dealing with the abstract window toolkit components, we need to have a container, and we need to set the size of that container. We need to set the layout of that container, and we need to set the visibility of that container. So in order to keep all the things at one place, I want to create a container, so which can be created by using a frame or by using a window or by using a panel, etc. Namespace f equal to new frame, frame space f equal to new frame. So this will create a container, so we can place all the components. So these all are the components. These all are the things which were highlighted on the screen, or the components. These components can be added to a container. So here I have created one container with the name f. So we can add all these components to that particular container. So that particular container, we need to set the size of the container, we need to set the layout of the container, and we need to set the visibility of the container. So let us look at how to set the size of the container. So we can set the size of the container by using a method called as set size. This will take two parameters. The first parameter is the width of the frame, width of the container, and the second parameter is the height of the container. Here our container is a frame. So first one will take the width of a frame and height of a frame. And then we need to set the visibility of the container by using a method called as set visible, and we have to pass the value true. By default it is false. So the things which were on the frame, or by default they are invisible. In order to make all the components on the frame visible, we need to use the method set visible, and we need to pass true parameter for that set visible method. And then we have to set the layout, and then we have to set the layout. So set layout. So let us consider, we have already studied about different layout manager classes. In AWT, there are 5 layout manager classes: border layout, grid tag layout, card layout, and flow layout. So here in this program, I am going to use the flow layout class, which will arrange all the components which were added on the container automatically. So, and then I want to add each and every component. For example, I want to add L1, okay, and then I want to add L2, and then I want to add T1, that is a text field 1, and then I want to add T2, text field 2, sorry, I want to add L3, and then I want to add something like T2, and last one I want to add F dot add of something like button 1, that is B1, and then F dot add of B2. So these are the things I want to add on the, that particular container, that is a frame. So let us have a brief look at this particular program. So we are dealing with abstract window toolkit. So we have imported package called as import space java.awt.star, and here I have defined a class with the name P1. So in this I have written the main method in Java programming language. So the main method we all know that the main method in Java programming language is public static void main string args, where public is a access modifier. It will keep the main method available to JVM in order to execute that particular main method. But the static is a keyword which will bring all the things inside that method directly into the RAM. To keep all the things into the RAM, we need to use the static keyword. There is no need to create an object in order to execute that particular main method. So in order to execute the main method, there is no need of object. Why? Because we are using the static keyword along with the main method. And void is a return type. We know that in any programming language, while we are dealing with a C or C++ or a Java or any other programming language, while we are defining a particular method, we have to mention the return type of that particular method. While we are executing a method, if it is returning an integer value, we have to maintain int as the return type. When it is returning as a float value, we have to maintain the return type as float. And while that particular method is not going to return any type of value, we have to mention it as a void. Similarly, in Java programming language, this main method is going to return nothing. That's why we have to mention that particular return type of that particular main method as void. And then main is the name of the method, and it is going to take some string arguments as a parameter. So we have maintained string args. So each and every argument we have written inside the main method will be taken as a string class object. And then inside that main method, we want to create a Gmail login page, which will include 3 labels, that is the Gmail, username and password, and which will include two fields, that is a text field and a password field, and which will include 2 buttons, login button and clear button. So in order to create labels in Java programming language, we have to use In order to create labels in Java programming language, we have to create an object for label class. In order to create a buttons in Java programming language by using AWT, we have to create an object for button class. In order to create a text fields in Java programming language by using AWT, we have to create an object for text field class. That is why what we have done is we have created 3 labels. We have created 3 labels, that is label space L1 equal to new label Gmail, label space L2 equal to new label username, label space L3 equal to new label password. So in order to display something on the output screen in Java programming language, we have used some method called as a println, which is used as system.out.println, which will display something on the output screen. Similar to that particular method, while we are using AWT components, if you want to display something on the output screen, we have to use the label class. In Strings programming language, while we want to display something on the output screen, we have to use JLabel class. We have to create an object for JLabel class. So here in this program, we are only dealing with abstract window toolkit components. That is why we have used only label class. So in order to display a Gmail on the output screen, we have to create an object for label class. In order to display username on the output screen, we have to create another object for that label class. And in order to display password on the output screen, we have to create one more object for label class. And in order to create some field that is text field and password field, we have to create text fields by creating an object for text field class. And in order to create a button on the output screen, we have to create object for button class. And these all are the components I have mentioned in the earlier. Label is a component, text field is a component, button is a component. We cannot display these components directly. We need to have one container which will keep all those components in a particular place, and then it will display according to our program. So here, along with these components, we need to have a container in order to display all these components. And the container here in this program is a frame. So in order to create a frame in our program, I have created an object for frame class, that is frame space s equal to new frame. So it will create a container. It will create a container, as the name suggests, that it will hold some components in a space. So container. And then keep one thing in mind: when we are dealing with containers, the size of the container should be maintained in the program. the visibility of the container should be maintained. The layout of the container should be maintained. So we need to maintain the size of the container. So those components which were developed in this program may or may not have default sizes depending upon different systems. But while we are dealing with containers, we need to maintain the size of the container. When we add different components on a container, by default, these components are not visible to the user or to the end user. So in order to make all these components to be visible to the user, we need to use a method called as setVisible. And along with the setVisible method, we have to pass some true value. So in order to set the size of the container, we have to use the method f.setSize, which will set the size of the output frame. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the visibility of the components on a container by default is those components are not visible. So in order to make all the components visible, we have to use the method called as setVisible, and we have to pass. So in order to make all the components visible on the output screen, we have to use the method setVisible, and we have to pass the true as a parameter for setVisible method. And on the container, while we are going to add two or more than two components, one component will be overlapped by another component. So finally, if we add 100 components on a container, the last component will be displayed. Other 99 components will not be displayed because the 100th component is the last one which was added to that particular container. So in order to make all the components visible, in order to arrange all the components on a particular places, we have to use the method called as setLayout method. This setLayout method is used to arrange the components at particular position. So as all we know that in AWT, there are 5 layout manager classes. So we can use any type of layout manager classes depending upon our need. And while we are dealing with Sphinx, we have mainly 4 layout manager classes. We can use any of the 4 layout manager classes. So here in this program, we are only dealing with the abstract window toolkit. In abstract window toolkit, there are 5 layout manager classes. And in this program, I am going to use one layout classes. The name of the layout classes is flow layout. As all we know that this flow layout will arrange the components automatically. The first component which was added to that container will be added at the top left corner, and the second component will be added beside the first component if the size is okay, and if the size is not okay, it will be added in the next line. And if the third component is okay in the second line, it will be added in the second line. If it is not fit in the second line, it will automatically added to the third line. So depending upon the size of the container, that is the size of the output screen and size of the component, these components will be automatically added to the containers. So here let us have a close look at these things. So here I am adding L1. So L1 specifies Gmail, and then I am adding L2. L2 specifies username, and then I am adding adding P1. P1 specifies text field which contains mail ID, and then I am adding L3 which contains password, and then I am adding T2 which contains password, and then I am adding B1 which contains a name called as login on the button, and then I am adding B2 which contains clear on the button. So now let us execute this particular program. So I have used this, I have written the entire program and the class name P1. So I am saving this particular program with P1.java. As all we know that we have to save the program as class name.java. If there are multiple number of classes in a Java program, we have to save that particular program with the class name which contains main method. So main method will resides in only one class, and we have to save the entire program as a class name.java where the main method already resides. So here in this program, we have only one class, that is a P1 class. So I am saving this program as p1.java, saving this program. And after saving this particular program, I'm trying to run this particular program. Let us have a close look at, okay. So I'm trying to compile this program. So there is something. So the name of the set visible method is SETVASIBLE. We have used something wrong here. 1 second. Set visible. The name of the method should be like this: BLE. I have compiled this program. There are no errors, and I have run this program. So if we clearly observe, this particular output screen, So this is the output screen. Okay. So here we have mentioned 400, 400. So this is the 400 width. Okay. This is 400 width and 400 height. And then firstly we have added L1, f dot add of L1. So L1 in the sense Gmail. So the Gmail is occupied in the output screen as in the top left position. And then we have added L2. L2 means we have added some username. So if username have enough space beside Gmail, it will be added beside. If there is no enough space, it will be added in the next line. So here in this program, according to the size of the output window, it can be adjusted beside Gmail. So it is added beside Gmail username, and it is a text field where we can have any type of text. For example, csc@gmail.com. We can have any type of text here, and it is a password field. Here I am mentioning it as also a text field. We can convert the text fields into password field by using a method called as setEchoChar. So that setEchoChar method, we have to pass one character. So anything we enter into that password field will be the thing which was displayed on the password field will be that particular character. It will display nothing. So here I am not going to mention the password, how to convert this text field into password field. So it is a password field where we can enter any type of password here, and then it is a button, login button, and then clear button. So let us have a look at. So if I want to change the size of the particular output screen, so I am changing the size of the particular. If you observe, these things are adjusted automatically. Previously, username can be adjusted in the same line, text field can be adjusted in the same line, password label can be adjusted in the same line, password field can be adjusted in the same line. While I am decreasing the size of the window horizontally, so Gmail and username are on the first line, and then followed by the text field, and then followed by the password label, and then followed by the password field, and then login button and clear button. So according to the size of the output screen and according to the size of the components, these are getting automatically adjusted. That is the magic of flow layout. So we have already studied about the flow layout. By using flow layout, we can add the components automatically on the output screen. So if we increase the width of the particular output screen, we can observe that all the components are added on the same line. If we try to decrease the width of the particular output screen, these components are getting adjusted automatically. So this is because we are using flow layout. So by using flow layout, these components will get adjusted automatically according to the size of the output screen and according to the size of the components. This is how we can create a simple Gmail or anything login page by using abstract window toolkit. And in the next class, we can have a close look at some other programs. Here in this class, we have created labels, text fields, password fields, and buttons and frames. So in the next class, let us have a close look at how to create a radio buttons, how to create a checkboxes, and other abstract window toolkit components. And if you have any queries regarding this lecture, you can drop drop a message or you can drop a comment in the below YouTube session, and it will be answered as soon as possible. And thank you for having patience while listening my lecture, and meet you in the next class with one more complicated. Just now we have gone through a simple program, and in the next class we are going to cover somewhat complicated program, that is creation of some more AWT components, that is creation of some radio buttons or creation of some checkboxes or etc. And thank you very much.